Hi there, welcome to Nauctis on YouTube.
If the United States has Alcatraz, Japan has Abashiri Prison, known as a high-class detention center. Abashiri Prison is located in Hokkaido and has existed since 1890, precisely during the Meiji era. Initially, Abashiri was used to detain criminals who had committed heinous acts of murder but could not be sentenced to death due to opposition from Western countries. However, as Japan's political uncertainty grew, the crime rate there soared to 89,000 criminals. At that time, prisoners were required to build a road connecting Abashiri to Kitami, spanning 228 kilometers. They were forced to keep working and were only given 4 to 5 hours of sleep. This work became more challenging because the prisoners' hands were handcuffed and chained to prevent escape. As a result, around 200 prisoners died due to malnutrition, technical accidents, or bear attacks while clearing the forest. However, this prison eventually experienced a massive fire in 1906, and now the building has been reconstructed into a museum called the Abashiri Prison Museum. As time passed, Japan began to create a culture of high discipline, which led to a decrease in crime rates. The Japanese government also started to change its prison system with a strict approach focused on rehabilitation rather than violence and exploitation. Prisons in Japan are commonly referred to as keimoshu, kinko, or koryu. Unlike typical gloomy and daunting prisons, prisons in Japan are very well maintained and the inmates are not overcrowded. In that country, all prisoners are treated equally. Moreover, prisons in Japan have almost no violence among inmates, no revenge killings, and no rapes. The prison conditions are so orderly and peaceful that usually only one guard is on duty to supervise 40 inmates. One of the detention centers in Japan is Fuchu Prison, known as the strictest prison in Japan. Not only for locals, but this prison also accepts foreign inmates from more than 40 countries. Interestingly, Fuchu Prison also houses various Yakuza members, such as Shinobu Tsukasa Kumicho, who served a 5-year prison sentence. This sentence ended in 2011 due to a violation of sword and firearms laws at Fuchu Prison. Previously, Shinobu had also served a 13-year sentence in the 1970s for killing a fellow Yakuza gang member using a katana sword. So how can someone end up in this famous prison in Japan? When someone faces a criminal case, they are required to attend a trial that can take months or even years, depending on the complexity of the case. While awaiting trial, the defendants will first spend time in a police jail or keisatsu sho. This is the time when prosecutors and police gather evidence related to the defendant's case. After being detained in the keisatsu sho, the defendant will be transferred to a regional detention facility such as the Tokyo Prison or 𝗤𝗂𝗂𝗁𝗄. Compared to police jails, conditions at 𝗤𝗂𝗂𝗁𝗄 are much more comfortable, clean, and humane. However, the regulations here are much stricter, from mealtimes to daily head counts. If the trial process has been completed and a verdict has been reached, there are 2 possibilities that can happen to the defendant. If found not guilty, they will be released or given probation, commonly known as shiko-yuyo. However, if found guilty and probation is not granted, the defendant will be transferred to prison. Upon entering prison, inmates will be classified according to gender, nationality, type of sentence, length of sentence, criminality, as well as physical and mental health. The correctional system is divided into adult, juvenile, and women's, specifically for prostitute rehabilitation guidance homes. While in prison, inmates will wear uniforms, and there are specific ways to walk, talk, eat, sit, and sleep. They will lose privileges such as recreation time, watching TV, and losing the most desired jobs. For cell placement, most inmates in Japan will be placed in community cells. The conditions are similar to those found in prisons in general, but this is even stricter. For Japanese people who grow up in a system of rules, order, and heavy pressure to comply with these things, life in prison alone is still difficult to live with. Especially for foreign inmates who do not have the cultural background and lifestyle training experienced by most Japanese people, it is very torturous. These community cells can accommodate 6 to 12 inmates and are equipped with several facilities such as tatami mat floors, Japanese futons, low tables, and much more. For foreign inmates, they are usually placed in different cells. However, there is conflicting information regarding prison cells for foreign nationals. Some say they are given beds, while others say that prisons put them in small isolation cells for the duration of their stay in prison. Unlike community cells that contain more than one inmate, isolation cells only contain one inmate who is not allowed to speak day after day, week after week, or even month after month. Some isolation cell occupants not only sleep and eat, but also do assigned work inside. They are let out of the cell only for exercise but are still prohibited from communicating with other inmates. This sounds very sad and psychologically damaging. In addition, there are a number of regulations that apply to inmates in Japanese prisons. Some of the rules are about the placement of each item in the cell, and writing on paper or in magazines is prohibited. Moreover, the way of sitting and standing during cell inspections will be closely monitored. They are forbidden to lean, lie down, or walk around the cell at will. Inmates are also prohibited from making noise in prison. Preferably, if they want to talk, they can speak in a low voice during free time so as not to disturb others. Oddly enough, there are separate rules regarding how inmates sleep. Inmates are only allowed to sleep on their backs or on their sides. They are prohibited from sleeping face down, covering their face, or even moving during sleep time. Another strange rule is at mealtime, where inmates are forbidden to look up during meals. If they violate these rules, they will receive punishment. There are several types of punishments given to inmates who violate prison rules, ranging from the smallest to the most severe. Minor punishments common in Japanese prisons range from verbal reprimands, i.e. being scolded, food reduction for up to a week, and loss of privileges, such as being prohibited from writing, reading, drawing, and exercising. Meanwhile, the most severe punishments include small isolation confinement for up to 2 months and large isolation confinement for up to 7 days. One of the most frequently given punishments is small isolation confinement. This means being put in a small room and instructed to sit. Some reports say that inmates must sit in a sitting position, others in a cross-legged style. From 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., this is the only position allowed for inmates. You are not allowed to read, write, or listen to music. You just sit and are not allowed to stand, stretch, or walk around the small cell. Toilet use is also scheduled by the officers. Regarding food in prison, we might imagine an unappetizing and unattractive menu. However, unlike prisons in Japan, the preparation process is guaranteed to make our stomachs growl. Food for inmates is served like a 5-star catering kitchen that is very well maintained. The menu is also appealing, one of which is Japanese-style fried chicken or chicken karage coated in crispy batter. To maintain the quality and cleanliness of the food, the prison kitchen uses sophisticated machines to fry and drain the freshly cooked chicken. After frying the chicken, the cooks will add peas, corns, and carrot pieces to the hot rice. This looks very appetizing and nutritious. To ensure that all inmates get the same and fair portions, the rice will be weighed according to the predetermined portions. In addition to the main meal, inmates will also receive desserts such as sweet potato bread and milk. Moreover, all staff working in the prison kitchen must go through a strict inspection process by the prison warden every morning to ensure that they are clean and ready to cook.